Mark, so good to see you again, my friend.
Great to see you, Dennis. Great to see you.
I love coming down. You have such an amazing collection here at the American Muscle Car Museum. You're up to 400 and change now, something like that?
400 and change. I never thought I'd get over 300.
But you did. In fact, I think you said that to me the first time we shot. Oh, I don't think I'll get over 300.
Yeah.
Well, that you blew by that. But today, I wanted to do something that was really different. We got a beautiful 56 DeSoto pace car over there, but then there's this magnificent Turnpike Cruiser XM, or XM Turnpike Cruiser. This was a concept car that led to the Turnpike Cruiser in 57, right?
Correct.
So this car was designed actually in what, 1954?
Ford started looking at the idea in 54. In 55, they actually went ahead and decided to have Ghia produce the vehicle in Italy and have it ready for the 1956 car show circuit. Ford Motor Company had actually designed the vehicle.
They'd sketched out that this is what we want it to look like.
This is what we're looking. They actually provided the components, some of the main drivetrain, to Ghia. So in other words, it's built on a 1950 Ford F-250 truck frame, because they figured it would be an extremely heavy vehicle.
Okay.
So they went with a truck frame. Then, of course, for a power plant, they went with the 292.
Uh-huh.
So that was a nice, V8 engine, produced about 188 horsepower.
Probably a Mercury automatic in it.
Automatic transmission.
Uh-huh.
And the vehicle itself, you got to remember, we were in the 1950s. Eisenhower was president, and we were building the interstate highway system. And as they were putting in the new turnpikes, as they were called, Mercury had decided that they were going to come out with a new model in 1957 called the Mercury Turnpike Cruiser.
And I love those cars, by the way.
And we have a 57 Mercury Turnpike Cruiser, Indy pace car in the collection. And so at that time in America, most people don't realize it, but in the day long ago, you actually had road maps. And on most road maps, we used to have a collection of road maps in our vehicles as a kid, because we always would go on family vacation,
so did we.
Cross-country trips with a station wagon, and only within the city limits did you have speed limits. So like I remember way back as a kid, we lived in Arizona for 4 years, and my mom used to be able to go from Scottsdale up to Flagstaff in about an hour and 20 minutes. And so my mom basically would watch for the signs that would say, "You've now left Phoenix," and she would just punch it to the floor.
Pedal to the metal.
Pedal to the metal. My mom was a racer. Okay?
Total lead foot?
Total lead foot. This vehicle, when they produced it, they only produced one. Ford Motor Company showed it at all the major shows. And what they did is, after the main car show circuit, they would move it around in what they called the Van-O-Rama design. Like General Motors had the customized buses.
Right.
What Ford Motor Company did is they built a special semi that hauled this around, that the semi-trailer would open up and be the display showroom of this vehicle.
Oh, cool.
And they drove it from one location to another.
Just park it, open it up, and everybody can come?
And everybody could come.
The other thing is, because something this stunning, you would expect was preserved and all of that, but it turns out, and this is true of most concept cars, they were just then hauled out back and just left for dead.
Yeah.
And this was this was a basket case, right?
This turned into a basket case. It's amazing that, if you look through sometimes old Ford paperwork, and a lot of concept vehicles, they just crush them.
I know.
They just all get crushed. And if they don't get crushed, maybe they're sold to some Ford executive or somebody who worked on the design team. But then after that, let's face it, technology changes. They get eventually parked in a garage or on the side of a garage. People start stealing parts off of them. Tom Maruska, he's in Duluth, Minnesota. Well, what Tom did is he bought the vehicle in 2017. And the vehicle's out in California, brought it back to Minnesota, and so it took him about 3.5 years and a little over 6,000 man-hours to do the restoration.
So what Tom started with wasn't much?
Not much at all.
So, these T-top hatches, are they Lexan, or is it, actually feels like glass?
Yeah, all of this is glass.
In other words,
Tom became a master glass maker.
Wow.
Okay? Tom actually had to reproduce all of the glass in the vehicle you see.
So even this curve, this wraparound here,
He had to do the entire.
Oh my gosh.
He had to do all the custom glass work. And like he said,
goodness.
you know, you never make something right the first time.
Right.
So he said he would make certain pieces 5, 8, 10, 15 times. The beauty is he did so much custom work. In other words, he had to custom make, you know, the hood cover. He had to custom make the trunk because the originals were so far damaged and rotted that, you know, he had the main frame, he had the body. Of course, all the interior had to be redone.
Yeah. Can I open it up?
Yeah, you go ahead, open it up.
Okay.
A little bit of a hidden. And you see, as you open the door, the T-top pops up.
Oh my goodness.
Okay. Now, that's definitely space age.
Totally.
Okay. And the beauty is that what Mercury discovered and Ford Motor Company discovered, and that's why they never incorporated this, is when that opens up, if it's been raining outside, all the water flows down into the vehicle.
That's not good.
That's not good. So from a styling point of view, it's wow.
Yeah.
Okay. From an opening the door point of view, you're like, wow.
Yeah.
But if it's raining out,
You're
okay,
like, what?
and you're going to be getting in on a wet seat, that's not wow.
That's not wow.
That's not wow.
Well, you know, this very space age, you know, interior too, and a little bit, you know, Thunderbird-esque. You start getting into the 61, 2, 3, or 4, 5, 6, that center console with the brushed aluminum, that feels a little T-Bird.
That looks like a 63 T-Bird in some ways.
Yeah.
And so, you know, these concept cars are not just for one model often, but they'll take from that and apply it to other models down the road as they come out with new generations. Yeah. And now you're ready to head on down the highway.
Or off into outer space.
Off in outer space.
The Turnpike Cruiser, again, one of the things that changed in '57 with Merc was how low the belt line is on this car. You know, everything was up, you know, if you look at the 56, look how high that is, and everything was that high back then. But they had this low belt line in '57, that was one of their things. And then in the actual Turnpike Cruiser, this piece is about half as wide, and these monster taillights are about half the size.
Yeah, you can't miss the taillights.
But you can't miss those.
Can't miss those.
And the exhaust tips, is that where the exhaust really comes out?
Yes.
Oh, wow.
And so again, that space age look. And especially when you look at the back end of the vehicle, it's so unique. There was nothing like that back in the mid-50s from a styling point
No, and then
of
you
view.
put, you know, some tail lights up there, which now we always have high lights on new cars. There's something up high, so when you hit the brakes, you know, people can actually, you know, get your attention.
Yeah, and that was rare. You didn't see that back in the 50s.
Definitely not.
Now
Definitely
that
not.
started coming about in the last 25, 30 years, but before that, you never saw lights at that location.
What a crazy look, though. I mean, you know, even from back here, this rear 3/4 is just a nuts look.
Yeah, beautiful chrome, beautiful stainless.
And now that I'm back here, I can also see the handles on the back of the front seats.
Correct.
That's pretty cool too, and pretty space aged.
Yeah, you actually had grab handles.
Yeah, grab handles there.
You know, of course, there was no airbags back then.
Right.
And seat belts were very limited, let's put it that way. And so a lot of people, you know, you could always hold on, grab a hold of something. And so the styling is just unbelievable in this car. All the little details, especially when you look at the dash.
Oh, yeah.
You know, it's just amazing what they did. And it's amazing that this car is as old as it is with all the features that it has.
Well, and I just can't believe they penned it in '54. You know, I mean, there was nothing that looked anything near this in '54, so they were really out there. And then again, to have the actual Turnpike Cruiser look as much like this as it does is pretty impressive.
Yeah, Ford did an A+ job on this.
I'll say. Oh my gosh, that's a heavy.
That's very heavy hood.
There's some lead in that, I think. So a 292, they had to apparently mill some special valve colors to say Turnpike Cruiser. What a crazy air cleaner, but this is the air cleaner.
Correct.
Right? Which looks like an oil bath, but I see a paper element in it. Then it's piped over to that thing, and that's how it looked originally, eh?
Correct.
Wow.
That valve cover design didn't readily exist back in the mid-50s. So even looking at the valve covers, that was really innovative.
Those aren't badges. That's milled into the valve cover.
Correct.
Along with the engine turning, that's pretty fancy.
Oh yeah, Mercury was a new division for Ford.
Yeah.
It was Edsel Ford's brainchild. It was going to be upscale Ford, but below the Lincoln.
Look down.
And growing up in a Ford family, I can tell you that my mom thought she was finally making it in life, okay, when she could start driving a Mercury
instead of
and
just
not
a
a
Ford.
Ford, okay? That was a status symbol. You moved up.
So the underpinnings of this whole magnificent car is actually a 54 F250.
Correct. It has the coil springs in the front, elliptical rear end, and so, of course, rear drive. Pretty much a heavy-duty Ford F250 pickup. Very low slung, of course. Heavy as can be. 6,000 pounds of weight.
And I mean, this hood alone is, well, you can feel it. There's a lot of lead.
Oh, yeah.
Well, the whole front end is crazy, too. They pulled the headlights out. They had to put an extra trim ring on it to take care of that. These Cadillac-esque bullets. I mean, this thing is just nuts. I mean, it's a concept car. They usually don't even run. This one runs.
This runs and drives.
What do you say we close it up, fire it up, and take it up and down the tarmac here?
Sounds great.
All right, here we go.
Yeah. Help you with the hood.
I'm going to need help. And we come down gently.
Yeah. And I'll get my fingers out.
All right, I'll keep mine in here.
Just drop it, okay?
Ta-da! All right, let's do this.
Good.
I hear you don't touch the accelerator on this. But you do put it in neutral. It's a neutral start, like my Lincoln was. Here we go. You know, most concept cars don't even run.
Yeah.
They all have quirks. Okay, here we go. Merc-O-Matic. And away we go.
Now, what do you think this would do in the quarter mile?
Oh, you know, probably 15, 20 minutes.
About 6,000 pounds. You got a lot of weight to haul for that quarter mile.
And it's only a 292. And I guess that was
292.
kind of what they had at the time.
Yeah. For what they shipped to Italy in 1955, the 312 wasn't out yet, so they had the 292. Which, let's face it, it was a good engine.
I'm actually really surprised how well it runs. Because these, you know, concept cars and things that have been through what this has been through are usually just a nightmare.
But we do have, you know, a known power plant in it, known transmission in it.
Yeah.
And so the rest of the mechanicals are all pretty much, you know, Ford Mercury componentry, so it should run fine.
Yeah. You know, the lettering on these gauges is even persimmon. This is crazy. The detail on this car, Tom just did a magnificent job on this.
It was a total basket case, you know. Anybody else would have just sent it to the crusher and been long gone. And it's amazing it survived, because most people would have thought, geez, what is that? Some old 50s car? Have no idea what it is. Most of all the glass and everything is gone. The interior is long gone. Just like, just haul it away, get rid of it.
Was it tough for him to let go of it?
He was 74 years old last, you know, spring. And he really wanted to make sure it ideally went to a museum, because like he said, of all the cars he restored in his lifetime, this is his baby. You know, this was kind of his crowning achievement. And so he didn't really want to, you know, just sell it to somebody who's going to put it away in a building and nobody would ever see it.
So theoretically, you don't want to do the highway speed, but I can open these with these switches now, right?
Correct.
Okay, let's see. Give that a go. Oh, there's
There's
mine.
one switch for each T-top.
Oh, now Well,
now we have a lot more fresh air in
nice.
the car. Beautiful.
This is your parade mode.
The parade mode. You can wave.
You can really wave.
We
you
can
get
really
some serious
wave to
wave
people,
going on here.
And actually, you get a nice open view.
Gee, that's really. Oh, I bet this looks awesome coming at you with these things up.
Yeah, if you drove cross country in this, you'd have a great tan.
Yeah, I'll say.
But it's amazing all the glasswork. He had to remake all the glasswork himself.
I can't believe it's real glass too. I mean, that is an art. It is perfect because you are so tall. You can actually lift it up and get yourself some headroom.
Yeah, get a little headroom and get a lot more fresh air. You know, it's kind of like people would, in the 70s and 80s, would actually take the T-tops out of the vehicles.
Drive that way.
And drive that way. Here, it's a lot easier. You don't have to remove them. You just flip them up. Drive. Now, I wouldn't recommend probably driving at 80 miles an hour down the highway that way.
Probably not.
But in town, you get a lot more fresh air, and you can just feel that air flowing into the vehicle.
It's pretty cool. Design flaws though, it looks great, but if it had been raining, when you open it, it all drains in on you.
All this rain would be coming right on your left. Well, for me, it'd be my left arm, and for you, it'd be your right arm. Yeah.
Yeah, that needs a little bit of work.
Yeah. Well, you got to give Elon Musk credit. He took the same design feature in his new Teslas, and he found out the same thing. When you open up the doors, the water comes inside the vehicle. So 60 years later, water still flows downhill.
We rediscover the same thing.
Hey, like they say, if you don't know history, it has a tendency of repeating itself.
Yes, you do. A 54 F-250 was an interesting choice to build this concept on, and I guess just because it was going to be so heavy that they wanted a truck chassis underneath it?
They wanted a truck chassis, and they thought also by building a very heavy vehicle it would be more stable on the highway. And so, you know, heavy duty leaf springs, heavy duty front coil springs. You know, let's face it, this is like a tank.
Oh man.
6,000 pounds.
Well, I mean, that hood alone, like I say, 300-400 at least.
Yeah. And we're extremely low to the ground.
Yeah.
So when you sit in here, you don't realize how low to the ground this vehicle is compared to, let's say, the 56 DeSoto.
Yes.
Where you're definitely sitting significantly higher. I'm going to say probably a good 5-6 inches higher, at least in the DeSoto, than this vehicle.
Yeah, I totally agree. Yeah, this is perfect for cruising because the belt line is so low. You can just, like you are, hang your arm out the window.
Put your arm out.
Like, oh man, it's so nice. So you've had this at Amelia.
Yes.
And you've had it here at the museum. Wherever it is, it just
draws a crowd every time, wherever it is. Even when Ed was driving it on the show field at Amelia, people were chasing him on the show field to get photos of the car before he could even park it. Man. And you know, you had vehicles that were there that were $5, $10, $15 million Ferraris that people weren't even photographing. They were taking photos of this vehicle. Because, you know, let's face it, there's only one.
There is only one. It's so wonderful that Tom did the restoration and brought this thing back. Because this is really a piece of design history.
Yeah, Tom is an artist from an automotive perspective. The time and effort he put into this is unbelievable. Plus to have the skill set to do so much of the fabrication work himself. You know, you can't find that in a restoration shop today. And the beauty is he's preserving history.
Absolutely.
You know, I know one of his goals was always to be able to find actually a Ford van that was very similar to used way back in 1956.
Oh, the display van?
The display van, and actually restore a display van I put it out there. If anybody knows of a van
Like that?
dating that, please contact us. I would love to take that on as an added restoration project, because if you could put this vehicle
Oh, it would complete the package.
back into the original van design, granted you'd probably want to pull it with a modern semi-truck, it would just be amazing as you'd go down the highway. You'd probably cause wrecks going down the highway because everybody would be pulling out their smartphone to take a video or photos of it.
It's a road hazard.
It's a road hazard. Well, but it's a bright road hazard.
You certainly see it
You
coming.
can definitely see it. Yeah.
Nice car. I feel like I'm George Jetson. Actually, I feel like George Jetson.